I mean, George, every team you've ever coached, you want to win. You coach to win, and I think uh, the ability to do that it is it's just almost so hard to grasp. Um, there's an art to coaching and to achieving that kind of success. So,
I agree with you, and I think one of the pitfalls that coaches fall into is the success piece and winning means, again, when we talk about Edmonton and Florida, two very different approaches on what success means and how you win means,
Mhm.
right? And you see that very often, really, right, in youth hockey on up. Let me just get my best players out there. Let me get my best players out there and let them go and see if we can win a game. As opposed to, again, like what George was talking about and what you always espouse, which I agree with, getting four lines going so that everybody can play and everybody feels a part of it. When you have players who don't even dress so excited and really into it, then you know you've done something, I think, as a coach. I mean, that's, again, that's the trick to it, if you will, if there's a trick, if you want to use those words. That's the key, I guess, is a better way to put it, to having a successful program. Because I've always, when I was coaching college, that was my goal. My goal was to have a successful program, a team, just a bunch of players, play a bunch of games, see how we do. But between community service, the academic piece, how you treated other individuals, faculty, administration, all those things were what created a program. And I was very proud while I was there that we were able to do that.
Peter, I love your philosophy because I think it meshes. For me, Wally, you want your players, you want the people you work with to win in life. And winning in life is a hell of a lot more than a game. And you learn through games and you learn, all of the things we're supposed to be able to be cooperative, a sense of community. My background was growing up with pioneers in Saskatchewan. To them, the most important thing was they could save their community. Now, there were a lot of settlers that came over, as hobby farmers from Europe. The serious farmers, Wally, were in your background from the Ukraine and in Poland and so forth. But my grandparents were native Mohawk and Oneida. And I learned everything in my childhood about the importance of the sense of community. And the community, I think, has to apply to the community of life. You respect everybody else. And yes, you want to be successful. Winning is gauged as one of the measures of success. But, it would be unconscionable for me as a university coach not to have players work their guts out Monday through Thursday and then not be playing on Friday and Saturday. To play the game, it should be the fun of the game. And at every level, I think that that three-letter word win is superseded by another three-letter word fun. And so, Peter, I was pissed off when my daughter had to follow Abby Hoffman, who was a real spokesperson in Canada for women's hockey, and women's role in sport. And my daughter was maybe a better player in our backyard rink than most of the boys, but she had to quit at age 12, being part of the program. And so, fast forward, I went in 2007 with the responsibility of getting the men's hockey team back in the Olympics. They hadn't been there since 1994. This was 2010. Forming a women's hockey team and helping the sled team, the para ice hockey team. And so we fell one goal short with the women's program because there was a bulldozer, 2 or 3 players that pushed the goaltender and the puck over the line. That was the difference of Norway going and Japan going to the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver. Working with the women was an eye opener. They look through your eyes. They penetrate right to the sense of the community, the consensus, the cooperation, the communication. All of those things are hallmarks of what I experience with women's hockey and with para athletes as well. There's a love for the game and a desire to have fun. And if you make practices fun, it's usually through competition as one of the points where it's 1-against-1, 2-2, 3-3, small ice games. As Wally will say, the reward was always to play the assistant coach at the end of the pyramid of building from one-on-one competition. And then I'd blow the whistle, and the person that didn't have the puck was dropped out, and then the person that had the puck moved in. We might have played for 4 or 5 minutes, but it sent them off the ice with talking and yapping each other and having fun. Communication in the community. These are the same guys that I take considerable pride with Wally and the other coaches that were great coaches with me to see that players give back to hockey. I always ask when we get to reunions, did you give back to the game? And then I'm amazed. A player that played pro hockey like Terry Johnson, he worked with the 5 and 6-year-old. Okay? He could work higher, but he loves seeing the entry. Everything you need to know, you learned in kindergarten. And so there was kindergarten with TJ. Wally? Anyway, Peter, I'm right with you.
Awesome. That's really great to hear. And I think I'm sure you went through it too. Probably one of the most, I'm not gonna say difficult, but unpleasant pieces of coaching university is when you have to tell a player who works incredibly hard that they're not in the lineup because you have to be better than somebody. You have to find somebody that you can be better than to get in the lineup. So you might work as hard as you can, and sometimes that's not enough. So you have to somehow continue to build that player up so they know that the fact that they are making the maximum effort is a reward and is an accomplishment. It's very hard. Those are some of the more difficult conversations, and you get that right very often when you have a player, maybe he's a senior, because you're always trying to recruit stronger, better players as you move forward. And very often it's that senior who's been there for 4 years that you can reward if you can, but players know if someone should or shouldn't be in the lineup deep in their heart. They may say, well, I'm better than that guy, but deep down, I think they know.
Buddy, come here. Come on.
Well, Peter, I just wanted to mention one thing here. College rosters, I'm not sure what the top end is, but I know it has been 28 at times. I'm not sure what it's going to be next year. Obviously, there's a lot of red-shirted athletes. So getting into the lineup is really important for them. And that's why the coach at the college level has to really reinforce the academic side of things, because that's the reason they're playing, is to get through school that will lead to a vocation, possibly. And I don't know about all of you, but I went to university to play hockey. I was 17 years old, and everybody on that team had graduated from junior hockey already. And they had decided that that was where they were going to go. And there were just a few of us that were younger and stars in our eyes that aspired to want to go pro. And I think even today, talking about the male players, uh, coming from major junior with full rides at university, they still want to be hockey players. And there is so much opportunity on the male and female side to continue to play the game and enjoy the game in many different pro leagues at many different levels. And that's one of the positive things about it. And George, the thing that impressed me with that 1 year I worked with you and the players that were on the team, how successful many of them became in their real lives. Um, some of them became pretty wealthy oil men. Some became owners of big car dealerships. Some became teachers. Some became firemen, and they still play hockey today. And I think the purpose of being a athlete is really being a good person, and you're going to be a better student. And I don't think I've anybody's been hurt from playing hockey, especially in a scholastic environment, whether it's school, university, or college. Um, there's more risks out in the professional world, in the major junior world, and you have to keep the antenna up in terms of what's going on out there. Keep things in perspective is really, really important.
You know, Wally, I thank you for your comments, and I thank you for the fact that, you know, during our time, that was early in my time as a coach, more and more I figured out that you win with people and you win with great coaches that like you that were with me. And the experiences were hard work. I spent more time cutting players than I did, having players make the roster, so to speak. And at some point, we had 250 kids there. And I said at the very start, you know, we're going to do dry land training. And before we hit the ice, you're going to determine whether or not you want to be prepared to beat the Alberta Golden Bears or the Toronto Blues. And if you are, then you're going to train hard and you're going to work every day to prepare for it. Preparation is the key to success. And then once we hit the ice, I would always post a list and say that if you're not on this list and you feel you should be remaining on the team list, then please see me. And every time I would give that player an opportunity to be back on the ice. And then I would reevaluate. Now, I have to say, there have been players that I said, you won't play until maybe Christmas time, but I'll get you there. And the best teams I had at the University of Calgary started with, like you, a 17-year-old that wasn't in major junior. It was in junior B, and some that were in junior C. But they maybe were late maturers, I'm not sure. But the fact was that they were young men who were prepared to work, and they valued what I would say was determination and perseverance and all the things that ultimately I'm immensely proud of the teachers because I was a teacher in high school for 6 years and college for 22. And I took my role as a teacher equally as important with my classes as I did for coaching. I was coaching the next, teaching the next generation. What are they going to be? How are they going to be? And whatever the external forces, they can control their lives to much of the extent by their hard work and preparation for doing whatever they wish to do. I left the farm, Wally. I was told by my grandparents, whatever you do in life, make sure it's left in a better way. Period.
Well, George, I have to bring up a story from your induction into the U of C Hall of Fame. Um, uh, Tim Bothwell and I attended that, and George was one of many inductees. There were a number of players that I'd coached in junior that were being inducted, but there was one special athlete that was a wrestler that I coached in junior high school and high school that gave credit to George because he believed in him and he pushed him to toe the line academically. And he brought that up at the ceremony. It was quite moving, but it was just sort of a statement of who you are and getting the most out of everybody you work with. And uh, for a wrestler to get up, and as a student athlete, you were in charge of, must have had some role in academic guidance. You gave him a chance. And
It was a second chance, Wally, and I was the associate dean academic. Okay, here's a jock, here's a coach, and I'm the academic person, not the athletic person there. That was Dennis Kadatz. And so my job was to, I had wonderful staff working with me, was to identify young men and women. And if they were sliding, then I was the person that interviewed them. And so much of my time was, I worked until 2 in the morning grading and all that crap. But at 7 o'clock, I met for the real crap. And that was problems of 250 support staff, 54 teaching entrepreneurs, and mainly students. And in that workload, I loved mostly working with the students because they had the best future of all of us. And there was an Olympic athlete. Did I know that at the time? Did you know that there was an Olympic athlete you were working with in high school?
I knew it. I knew it. In
you always believe, and you want to make sure that no door is left unopened. But there he was.
Yeah. Well, it may be simplistic, but my role as a teacher and a coach, and I think it's something for coaches to consider, is to transmit belief and just being the best you can be and knowing what they're good at and being able to make them better. And that particular wrestler in junior high school came to practice with my high school team. And he could beat everybody in the weight class and bigger that were 3 years older than him. And it was obvious to me that he was a good athlete, but he wasn't like a pure athlete. He was a determined, driven, competitive character, and character with a capital C. You could trust him with your life. And what he laid on the table, on the mat, every match, and of course, we talk about the Olympics, and he did go to 2 Olympics, and he was a backup at the Olympics. It's that good at that level. And I'm just going to throw in Sammy Jo Small's name, who she's been on before. She's another one of those superior athletes who went to, I believe, Stanford University on a track and field scholarship and played goal for the men's team. And she ended up going to 3 Olympics, being a backup in 3 Olympics. And she's now making a pretty good living public speaking and leadership training. And the title of her book is The Role I Played. It's an amazing, amazing story. So sports just does good for people. There's, it's keeping us getting us up on Thursday mornings and continue to have the conversations. And, kudos to Peter and Hal and Tom. They're still on the bench. They're still coaching. They're still on the ice. And Tom, he still skates twice a week. And in fact, I have to tell you that he ran his hockey school first week of Stampede, and he had to switch a power skating instructor to come in and do an ice time so he wouldn't miss his old timers hockey ice time. So you got to love the game. You got to love what you do, and sport is what the wrestler loves. But everybody has their passion, and Al, I don't know about you. I just look at your artwork in terms of your photographs, and I'm just saying, what is your real passion? Because you've dedicated your life to hockey, but you've got so many other things going on.
Well, in hockey coaching, clearly, we're, I think, starting year 50 this year, 49 or 50. But as you talk about, you guys talk about the bigger picture, playing the long game, because we're coaching doctors, lawyers, government people, family people, business owners. We're teaching life lessons along the way that are way more important than the score of the games, as you guys mentioned. One of the things I will say is that from coaching, and we don't all get to coach championship teams. And when I was down at Shattuck with my Bantam team, and JP Parisi was the coach, and the year before, my Bantam team had won AA Silver Sticks up in Canada, and Parisi's Shattuck team had won the AAA team up in Canada at the same time. And then the following year, we went down and scrimmaged them. And as we were walking off the ice, JP looks at me and he goes, you got to coach the team you have, not the one you used to have or you had.
Yeah.
And that's so true, right? And I coached in a high school program. It was a startup. And small school, we started with 18 kids and no goaltender. Had to borrow one that got cut from another high school. But over the 13 years I coached it, I was only 1 year. We were under 500. And so we only played 25 season games. But we were typically in the 15 to 18 wins. But we never had an A-level player, but we were playing in the A-League. And so, but these were smart kids, and lots of them have gone on to become engineers and doctors and lawyers and fighter pilots. One's flying an F-35 right now for the Air Force. So I learned a lot as a coach over the years to look at the kids I have, look at how they've done in the past as a group, which you can do in our youth model, And my goal is to help them do better than they've ever done. And you do that through team and, coaching all the kids, not just the top 3 or 4, and taking an interest in them as people and getting to know them. So this year we'll have 16. I know we don't carry 4 lines, we do 3 lines because apparently coaches shorten the benches so much with a 4th line that it causes problems. So most programs have 3 lines. But I will have coached, I think, almost every one of these kids either last year or the year before. So I always felt, and maybe you guys had the same thing, the second year I coached players is a lot better than the first year because we know each other and they know me, I know them. We've made adjustments to get along with each other in the appropriate way. And so to me, it's a puzzle. Every year it's a new challenge. And now it's summer and I'm already thinking about, things we're going to do differently this year than we've done the last couple of years. I've stolen some ideas from Wally and Tom and Peter, and we've shared some ideas back, and it's been a lot of fun the last couple of years.